The NBA is back. This Tuesday, the 80th season of the NBA tipped off with the reigning champs, the Oklahoma City Thunder, beating the Houston Rockets. Now, even though I'm a football fan first, I'm a huge NBA fan. And unfortunately, I support the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, I know. My first season was the 15-16 season with players like Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, Pau Gasol, and Joakim Noah all playing for the Bulls. If I knew how badly we were going to be after then, I probably would have picked a different team. But here we are. I've invested too much time and money now to change. But one of my favourite players to watch outside of the Chicago Bulls was Kevin Durant, the 2014 MVP, with a speech that was enough to make a grown man cry. But he is one of the best scorers and one of the best NBA players of all time, and was a part of a very fun Oklahoma City Thunder team with players like Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, and Steven Adams, but unfortunately he could never get them over the line before making a move that was quoted the softest move in sports history, where he joined the Golden State Warriors, already the best team in the NBA at that point, maybe bar LeBron and the Cavs, but also a team that actually beat Oklahoma City Thunder in the conference finals, despite OKC at one point winning the series 3-1. And you know what? In my opinion, it's fun to compare different players from different sports, and to football and to NBA is no exception. You could say Michael Jordan and LeBron James are the Messi and Ronaldo of the NBA. You could make a comparison to Dirk Nowitzki and Philip Lahm, something like that. But it led me thinking, who is the Kevin Durant of football? And I've come up with a few names that have some similarities, but I've narrowed it down to just one. But I've got 3 names I will give you in this video. But before I reveal my choices, let me tell you the requirements of how someone can be the Kevin Durant of football. Rule number 1, they have to be a very good player. Kevin Durant, as mentioned in the intro, is one of the best of all time. So the footballer I choose has to be, at least at one point in their careers, a very great, if not a world-class player. Rule number 2, they have to be someone who didn't win trophies or already struggled to win any trophies as a team, not as an individual. Kevin Durant was the MVP, but can never take them to the top. We're focusing on team awards for rule number 2. And rule number 3, they had to make the move to a team that was already established, not necessarily a rival, but already considered a good team, like Kevin Durant did when he joined Golden State. A move that was seen as he's already joining a team that would win anything anyway, so sort of in that same regard. So enough with the boring rules. I've narrowed it down to 3 players, and I will let you know my thinking for each one, but there's one, in my opinion, that is undoubtedly football's Kevin Durant. But let me go for the sort of honourable mentions. And player number 1, for me, is João Moutinho. Yeah, I know, I can hear you typing already. You had to pick a Portuguese league player, but I've got to stay true to my brand, you know what I mean? So I am picking a player who currently plays in Liga Portugal and has played over 400 times in Liga Portugal. But let me build my case for Moutinho being someone like a Kevin Durant. Now, as much as I hate the bloke, João Moutinho that is, he is one of the most underrated midfielders of all time in my opinion. Nearly 1,000 club career appearances in a career that has spanned over 20 years. He was a part of that insane Monaco team that won the league over PSG, and he has 146 caps for Portugal, winning the Euros and the Nations League. Even towards the end of his career, he was still a fantastic player for Wolves in the Prem, making over 200 appearances for them in all comps. And as a recording, is a starter for Sporting Braga at 39 years of age. But enough about his later career. My comparison of Kevin Durant comes in when João Moutinho makes a move from Sporting to FCporto in 2010. Much like the OKC fans, Sporting fans felt like it was a betrayal of both loyalty and identity. Moutinho was a Sporting Academy product, just like Kevin Durant was with OKC. He came through the same youth system that produced players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Nani and Luis Figo, and he debuted for the senior team in 2005, also becoming captain at just age 20, and was seen as the symbol of Sporting's homegrown identity, hard-working, technically gifted, and most of all, loyal. Fans viewed him as a future club legend. But by the late 2000s, tensions grew between Mourinho and Sporting's management, and the relationship eventually soured. Moutinho wanted higher wages, a move abroad to a bigger league, and he wanted to win some trophies. Sporting's president at the time, Jose Eduardo Betancourt, and the board were financially struggling and reluctant to sell their captain on the cheap. But Moutinho would demand to leave in 2008 when Everton showed interest, a move that Sporting blocked, and this incident cracked his loyal image among fans. And by 2010, the relationship with the club had deteriorated to no repair. Moutinho had only won 2 Taça de Portugals, which is Portuguese equivalent of the FA Cup with Sporting to that point, but never won the league and even lost in the final of the Europa League in 2005. Just like KD lost with Oklahoma City Thunder in 2012 in the finals of the NBA. But in 2010, Betancourt publicly called him a massa podre, which translates to a rotten apple, which is one of the most infamous quotes in Portuguese football history. And in July 2010, Moutinho would join FCporto for 11 million euros, a shocking destination since Porto were, and still are, Sporting's fiercest domestic rivals alongside Benfica. And Sporting fans, much like Oklahoma fans, felt betrayed because he joined a direct rival instead of moving abroad. Disrespected also because of his perceived attitude and lack of gratitude after years of coming through the youth academy and being the star man. They also felt humiliated because Porto got him for a relatively low fee, and he went on to win everything there, winning 3 league titles, multiple cups, and most importantly, the 2010-11 Europa League under Andre Villas-Boas, who is currently the FC Porto president. Even worse, in 2013, FC Porto actually sold João Moutinho and James Rodriguez together to AS Monaco for a combined 70 million euros. However, Porto officially reported the deal as 25 million euros for Moutinho and 45 for James. The allocation looks suspiciously low for Moutinho. He was a proven Portuguese international, a Europa League winner, and arguably, at the time, in the prime of his career. By undervaluing Moutinho's price, Porto reduced the amount owed to Sporting through the sell-on clause, which Sporting were entitled to 25% of any future fee. So, if we look at the rules, Moutinho didn't win any leagues with Sporting. That's rule number 2 ticked. And he made a move to Porto, an already established team within Portugal. They had won 4 titles in a row from 2005 to 2009 and won 6 leagues in 10 years. That is rule number 3 ticked. But as much as Moutinho was underrated, he was never at the level of the best in the world. A player of the level and the caliber of Kevin Durant would be. A player in their prime who would be a Ballon d'Or candidate. But Moutinho was never that. So I'm going to go 2 rules out of 3, so it's not Moutinho. Moving on to player number 2. And of course, we all know who this would be, and you probably all guessed this person before I even started talking, and that is Sol Campbell. Of course he would be here. Sol Campbell made one of the most high-profile moves of all time, being nicknamed Judas still to this day. But let's put it into some context. You probably all know the story by now. Sol Campbell's 2001 move from Tottenham to Arsenal was seen as a stunning betrayal. He left on a free transfer, much like Kevin Durant did in free agency, after repeatedly promising to Spurs fans he would stay, only to join their fiercest rivals across North London, becoming one of the most hated figures in Tottenham history. Sol Campbell did win a League Cup for Spurs in '99, but compared to what he won at Arsenal, 2 league titles, he was invincible in one of those campaigns, 3 FA Cups, 6 Champions League participations, which is something he didn't have at Spurs, and also reached the final of the Champions League with Arsenal. Sol has gone into depth about him leaving on the overlap, but does it compare to Kevin Durant? So rule number 1, yes, Sol Campbell was a great defender and recognised as one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League history. You see, Golden State were already an established team who had won an NBA championship before Kevin Durant got there. And to be fair, Arsenal did win the title once, but that was in 1997, before being runners-up 3 years in a row, and they didn't win it again until 2002. In my opinion, Sol Campbell's move to Arsenal wasn't straight away as soon as he was going there that they were going to win the league. It was not a surefire thing. I think Arsenal was still a great team, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they were on the level of Golden State at that point. So that's 2 out the way. Maybe Sol Campbell was a little bit harsh. Maybe you could say he ticks all the boxes. But to me, I don't see it that way. I have an undisputed football version of KD. A great player who struggled to win at his club, but still being a world-class player, but had to leave to win trophies. And that, ladies and gentlemen, the Kevin Durant of football is Harry Kane. Now, hear me out. and let me list the parallels. You've got Harry Kane at Tottenham and Kevin Durant at Oklahoma City Thunder. Both were homegrown icons, the faces of their franchise. They stayed loyal for years. They had teams built around them, and they carried the weight of exception for a club who hadn't tasted major success in ages. And if you look at it, Harry Kane won nothing with Spurs, and Kevin Durant won nothing with OKC. Harry Kane broke goal records and became one of the best strikers in world football. Just like Kevin Durant was one of the best players in the NBA, he won scoring titles and MVPs, but despite all the brilliance, neither won the ultimate prize with their original teams. Greatness, but still no trophies. If you look at the trophies comparison, especially individual awards, Golden Boots and PFA Players of the Year for Harry Kane equals the MVP and scoring titles for Kevin Durant. Both dominated individually, Kane with multiple Golden Boots and a PFA award, and Durant with multiple scoring titles and an MVP. They proved themselves at a personal level, but team success still eluded them. And this is where I think it gets even more interesting. If you look at the supporting cast, obviously Russell Westbrook is a phenomenal player and is one of the best point guards and modern day NBA players of all time. Did Harry Kane have someone similar with him? I think you could make the case for someone at the time in his prime in Dele Alli or Christian Eriksen or Hugo Lloris. You've also got Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen, and the list goes on. Were they comparable to someone like a Russell Westbrook, a Steven Adams, a Serge Ibaka? To me, I think so. I'm not saying they're a direct comparison, but each of them had a solid supporting cast. Talented, exciting, but not quite enough to take them all the way. I would argue that both Spurs and Oklahoma were one superstar short of turning potential into championships. And of course we have to look at the near glory. The Champions League final and the Premier League runners-up for Harry Kane, in my opinion, equals the Western Conference final heartbreak and the finals heartbreak in 2012 for Kevin Durant. Harry Kane reached the 2019 Champions League final and pushed Leicester close in the league in the 15-16 season. Kevin Durant made the 2012 NBA final and later the conference finals against the Warriors. In both cases, they both got so close, only to fall short at the biggest hurdle. Kane losing to Liverpool in the Champions League final, and of course Durant losing to Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors. Now let's look at their big moves and controversial moves, but both of them made controversial career decisions that were pragmatic. They weren't romantic. Kane to Bayern, Durant to Golden State. They left their longtime teams to join clubs that were already proven winners. Bayern had won multiple Bundesligas and Champions Leagues. Golden State had already won the NBA Finals and still had a great team in their prime with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. To many fans, this looked like a shortcut for both players. Ring chasing, if you will. But for both, it was finally about validating greatness with trophies. And in all fairness, Kane didn't win a trophy in his first season with Bayern. It took the second season for him to actually win something. So let's go back to the rules we had in place. Rule number 1, tick. Both world-class talents, some of the best in their positions of all time. Rule number 2, both were unable to taste success with their homegrown clubs and failed to win trophies. Tick. Last, rule number 3, they left to join an established world-class team. Tick. In short, for me, Harry Kane is football's Kevin Durant. A generational talent who gave their all to their team, but just fell short of ultimate glory. Whether that's due to the owners not fully investing in the squads and not backing their squad, surrounding them by better players to help them win, or was it just due to unlucky moments? That you can decide for yourself. And both finally chose their legacy over loyalty to win what each of their brilliance always deserved. And that is the end of this video. I know it's a little bit different, sort of combining my two loves for sport, for both football and NBA. Let me know what you thought. Did you think there's anyone that I've missed? Is there someone so obvious that I've missed that you would say is the Kevin Durant of football? Would you say Sol Campbell meets that metric more than Harry Kane? Because I don't think Harry Kane's hated by Spurs supporters in any means, but I think in the comparisons that you look at in terms of just career comparisons, I think that is the best comparison there. But what do you think? Do you want to see more videos like this? Do you want me to compare players in the NBA. I've got a few in my head already. Wembanyama. You've got guys, like I mentioned in the intro, Dirk Nowitzki. You've got Draymond Green. You've got Patrick Beverley. The list goes on. We could do this all day. If this is something that interests you, please let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, I've been Sam Vasega. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and peace.